Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're here just for a few minutes to have a conversation on the importance of voting. My name is Bishop Dr. Neville G. Wolliston, and I'm here with my son, Nathan. We're going to be co-hosting together. We have, of course, the illustrious panel with us also. You'll hear from them in just a few moments, but what we'd like for you to do is share this information, share the live, and so we can get the word out, because it is important. Your voice, your vote. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, as Bishop just mentioned, it is very key. A very key part of today is information. So we have for you in the chat and the description of this video a few links on how to register, first things first. So we have a registration link in the chat. We also have information about early voting, and we can pull up a slide of that from time to time in Connecticut. We have 14 days of early voting, starting on tomorrow, October 21st to the 31st, as well as November 1st through the 3rd. And there's a link for where your early polling location is going to be, because it differs from where you regularly vote. Lastly, we also have a link for your general election day. So Tuesday, November 5th, if you choose to vote on that day, the location is going to be different. So there has been some changes with early voting passing, just to where you could possibly vote. So just please click the links in the chat or in the description of this video, and utilize the information given to you, because information, again, is power.
You said that we've had changes, there major changes from last election?
Within the last 4 years, yes. We've passed early voting laws that now enable us a little bit more of a window to cast your ballot.
Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, information is there. Click the link and you should be getting the information. All right, so let's move forward. I'm going to have these special guests introduce themselves. I'm old school. I like to say ladies first. I know it'll be more appropriate because Patrick's on the end, but all right, let's switch it up. Patrick, take it away.
My name is Patrick Biggins. I am from East Hartford, and I am really excited to be here and excited to help and inform people so that they can get out and vote.
Patrick, are you representing right now, or are you running?
Yes, so
okay.
I'm running for state legislator, and I currently am on the Board of Ed in East Hartford.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks.
Love that, Patrick. I was going to ask him, like, Patrick, tell us about
I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I don't know.
We want to know all of that great information, that you are a public servant. Thank you, Patrick. Okay. My name is Nuchette Black-Burke. I'm the proud mayor of Windsor, Connecticut, and I'm really excited to be here to have this really important conversation. So thank you, Bishop Wolliston, and thank you, Nathan, for making this happen.
No problem at all. My name, as you may know, or may not know, is Nathan Wolliston. I'm a member here at Living Word Empowerment Ministries. My father is a bishop, and I currently serve on the Windsor Board of Education.
Awesome. Madam Mayor.
You're not going to introduce yourself again?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
So my name is Suzette Debeatham-Brown, and I'm really excited to be here. Bishop Wolliston, thank you, and thank you, Nathan, for having this important conversation. I am the former mayor of the town of Bloomfield, and I think it's really important that we as individuals get all the information necessary so that we can gather ourselves and use our voice as our vote.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And Suzette's very modest. She's also the Deputy Commissioner of Aging and Disability Services.
Thank you, Shamar.
If no one was going to say it, I was going to make sure it's put out there.
Yeah.
She's very modest. First, I do want to thank Bishop Wolliston and Nathan for inviting me to be a part of this panel. My name is Shamar Mahon. I am a born and raised resident of Bloomfield, Connecticut. I'm also the councilman there in Bloomfield, as well as the Republican minority leader in Bloomfield. So I'm very happy that we're having this conversation, especially with such a crucial election with so many crucial issues that we're going to be facing. I heard we're not going to be getting into those.
No.
But we're going to be talking about you getting out and making sure your vote and your voice is heard.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. All right, Nathan, I think I'm going to hand it over to you.
All right, so with just the spirit of election season around, I wanted to bring up some notable characters, and they'll be pulled up on the slide for us as well, that just has had an effect in our community, being the church community and the Black community, on just voter registration and just, you know, being a trailblazer in our country. So the first one, if we get into that, is Pauli Murray. So Pauli Murray is a trailblazer in the civil rights and women's movement. She was one of the first priests in the Episcopal Church. She's a writer and lawyer who graduated from Yale Law School, and she served on the President's Commission on the Status of Women in the Kennedy administration. I thought she was someone who was very special to bring out with some of our women of color first that we have among us, and I'd like to highlight that as someone who maybe in the audience is a bit younger and could see what another African American woman could do in the future. Her legacy crossed barriers of religion, law, and race. Next, someone we also want to highlight, is very well known, Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King is a man who, as a Baptist preacher, used his faith to lead the civil rights movement. Through interracial and interfaith alliances, he helped move the country forward toward freedom and equity for all. Lastly, we have Philip Randolph. In collaboration with Martin Luther King, Philip helped initiate the 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. During this march, Martin Luther King delivered his famous I Have a Dream speech. Mr. Randolph built the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters into the first predominantly African-American labor union, which is an amazing work. Hopefully you guys are all inspired about some of these notable characters that we have showed today, and hopefully we can inspire you to do your best part. You know, it always starts with very small things. People can make these large movements, but if you're not even paying attention enough to know where to cast your ballot or how you would like to cast your ballot, how would you then become one who is interested in doing the same yourself? So yes, there are people who made big movements, but it also starts with seemingly small motions like casting your vote.
Awesome, great. Thank you so very, very much. Nathan, let me ask you, or maybe I could ask the panel. It seems as if the church has taken a lesser role in terms of the vote and election and so forth and so on. When you compare that to a Martin Luther King era, would you agree with that or no? Or is this just our demographic? Only reason why I'm asking that, because personally for me, I haven't seen that we've been that much involved, and I appreciate guys like yourselves, Councilman Mahon, or yourself, that you're like, you know what, we need to do this, especially as young people, we're people of faith, you know, so I was just wondering your thoughts on that.
So I would say yes and no.
Okay.
And as soon as you asked the question, Raphael Warnock's name came to my mind. And it's a really crazy two-side of a coin, because you hear the separation of church and state. And I think because you hear that, and there are some that don't want to get their 501 things, you know, so they're very, let's go up to the edge, but let's not really tip over. But I do believe that if the voice of the church is not at the table, there's a huge piece of the world that's missing. And I know that playing it safe sometimes is what works for people, but in the day and age that we are in, I don't believe the church should be playing it safe at all. That's not an option. I believe the church should be at the forefront. Like back in Dr. King's days, we have to fight for something. And while we're not saying that we're going to tell you who to vote for or what side of the aisle you should fall on, I believe that we should do exactly what you're doing here today. Make space, right, to give information and to encourage. I believe that the church has fallen down on that. And I believe that this right here might be our turning point.
No.
Well said.
I do like what you said, Suzette, that every single point that you made was well put. Beyond just a place of worship and a place of fellowship, the church is a place of community.
Yes.
And so even if, like you said, you're not being directed on where exactly to cast your ballot for left or right, red or blue, or whatever other color, because we have many different parties, the fact that we can at least encourage folks to make sure that their voice is heard and that they have a seat at the table. It reminds me of the Proverbs, I believe it's 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so
Oh, you
one
preach
person
it,
Pastor.
sharpens another.
Excellent.
It's very true. We can't do this alone. We can't do this, and we have to do it together, no matter who you vote for. Democracy relies on all folks from all different walks of life contributing and bouncing ideas off of each other. Maybe one idea sticks and one idea falls, but at the end, or a combination of the two, and everybody leaves unhappy. But at least at least we have the little Goldilocks medium. It's important to at least make sure you're there.
Yeah. Oops.
And
You
I would
almost-
add to that.
You almost got right into a question. But I'll
Well,
let you
quickly,
go. Yeah.
what I would add, and I agree with both Suzette and Shamar, is that, and I'm going to use this term very specifically, the Black church. I believe that as the Black church, we unintentionally have become very, very complacent.
Silent, yeah.
Simply because we're comfortable. But I think this election, more so than others, is going to challenge us differently. That we're going to have to come back to exactly what you said, Shamar, that we need to be a place where we are sharing information. We are intentionally educating. And no, I know folks get a little dicey, as you said, Suzette, about this church and state. And so I'm not saying we have to do it necessarily from the pulpit, but provide a forum like this where you can have a question and answer period, something like that. So the individuals that are coming to our churches for community, coming to be uplifted, they have an opportunity to hear and understand, and we are able to share with them, like, okay, now that we've given you information, you can go out and make an informed decision. But I do believe the Black church, we've become so comfortable because there's a certain ear that we've arrived, that we have all of these, inalienable rights now, that we've kind of become a bit tepid on how we push forward.
So we did have a few questions lined up, and you guys are like beating around the bush. So I just wanted to get straight into it. And so it really was mainly geared towards Patrick and Shamar. A question that we had is, what is the best response you think we can offer as people, or our audience members can offer to those who say, I'm not going to vote, my vote doesn't count?
Patrick.
Oh, all right. I hate that response only because I think that people, like, your vote does matter. If you don't cast your ballot, then you're not allowing your voice to be heard. And that means that whoever wins, you just have to be like, okay, that's my person.
Pretty
Like,
much.
and if you cast a ballot for the other person, like, I think as someone who's running right now, I want everyone to vote because whoever has the most votes at the end of the day is going to represent everyone. So if I'm gonna if I win, I'm gonna represent people that didn't vote for me. I'm gonna represent people that didn't vote at all. So I would like everyone to have cast a ballot and been like, listen, this is the person who represents their values, and then the person that best represents their values hopefully will be the person that sits in the seat.
I do like how you put that, because yes, if you don't decide to cast a vote, you will have to just sit on the sidelines and just accept whatever comes to you. What I also thought about when you were saying that is elections have consequences. At the very local level, we have seen. That's why there's so much affirmation coming from Suzette. we have seen, but also all the way up to the national level. Please don't forget your local elections, because
Absolutely.
those elections have the most direct effect on what happens on your day-to-day. But like I said, those elections do have consequences, and elections can either, on the candidate side, as we know, they can either give you that mandate to lead, or they can allow you to see what you need to improve in your policies to best represent your constituency better. I like a close race, because a close race shows that there are just as many folks on your side, or maybe a little bit less folks on the other side than there were on your side. But that means that you have to now come to that compromise in order to lead. There's a difference between campaigning and leading, and actually being in the position. Once you're in that position, you have to become that leader for everyone in your constituency.
Very good. And that's, again, the reason why we're having this conversation, to say to people, you need to vote. Your vote matters. Your vote is your voice. And again, thank you all for coming and sharing with us, because it's very, very important. With that being said, I want to pose this question to the two mayors, to our females on the panel. And here's the question. How significant, I know the answer, but I'm just going to ask you, how significant is this election to both of you as females, black as well, in terms that the fact that it's very possible that our next president could be a woman of color?
I'm going to let Nuchette go first.
Seeing that both of you have served, or you have served, you're still serving as a trailblazer in a sense, as women of color in your town.
Absolutely. So this particular election is really, really, it's like, I don't even have a word to describe how I'm feeling. There are days that I'm super, super excited, and then there are days that I feel like I'm carrying the world on my shoulders. And as you said, Bishop Wolliston, I am the first Afro-Caribbean mayor in my town, and then the first black woman. And oftentimes I believe that as black women, yes, I have a t-shirt, love t-shirts. I think we should make one with this on there as well.
Yeah,
Right?
yes, absolutely. We'll
And
make
it says
happen.
that, yes, I'm educated, I'm melanated, I'm motivated, but I think for me, that is the piece that keeps being lifted up. That here we have a woman who, yes, she's a black woman, but she is qualified, she's studied, she's learned, she's capable. But at the end of the day, there's still this notion or this misnomer that she can't. And so for me, this election is super, super important, because I would love to shatter that ceiling. And we've been shattering the ceiling. Suzette, I believe you were the first in our state, right? No? You weren't.
Second, well, first Caribbean.
First
in the
Caribbean.
state, yes.
Okay, in our state. I think about Stacey Abrams. All the time I talk about Shirley Chisholm, and a lot of times people forget about the work that she did. And I tell people that she set a path for all of us to follow. But here we are, it's 2024, and we are still being questioned based on our capability, and simply because we're a woman, i.e. black women. And so for me, this election is super important, because we are capable, we are qualified, we know we can do the work, but what is it that people still continue to question? In my role as mayor, people still are like, well, she did grow up here. She's been serving in public office for several years, but do you think she'll be able to do it? Really? So for this particular election, for me, that is what I'm after. Like, when, and I'm going to say it, Lord, when we have our next president.
You're going to get Shamar in trouble.
I'm sorry. When we have our next president, I really believe that this ideology that people have built up about black women can once and for all be settled. That she's educated, she's melanated, motivated, and good God Almighty, disciplined and learned, and can do the job. She can do the job. So it really means a lot to me.
Show herself approved.
That part, yes.
Yes.
She can do the job. So it's a weird feeling. I don't have a word to describe it, because you're excited, but at the same time, you're still carrying that weight. You're still carrying that weight that you have to constantly prove to people. And I think the only person that you should be able, or would even want to prove to, is your own self. But it means a lot to me, Bishop. I'm excited. I can't wait. November 5th, call your neighbors, call your friends. Make sure that everybody around you has a plan. If they live in Alaska, they live wherever they live, and you know them, make sure they have a plan to vote. Your voice, your vote. So it means a lot to me.
Awesome.
So I am cautiously optimistic, right? Because we do know the time and seasons in which we're living in. Would have never thought coming from the land of wood and water,
Hey.
the best place on the planet,
Well,
that I would ever be the first female Caribbean mayor of the town of Bloomfield, or the first Caribbean mayor in the state of Connecticut. But I think what happens is once you try to show people, right? Because that's what we do. We don't kick down doors. We are very demure. As the young people would say, very mindful. As the young people would say.
Yes, very
Because they don't
cutesy.
really understand the meaning of demure, but that's another conversation. That we come in and we are trying to prove that we belong in this space. We come in and we try to dim our light because we don't want to ruffle feathers. No matter how much we try, it's always a slap in the face that you don't belong here. Even though you have degrees behind your name, even though you have experience behind your name, it's still that stigma of a woman. Now, I believe if there was a male that had the credentials that Madam Vice President has, we wouldn't be having some of the conversations that we're having. It wouldn't be about her laughter, right? It wouldn't be about the way she dresses or the way she comes in a room. It would be a man, just a regular man. He's qualified, let's vote for him. He can rule, he can have the combinations to the nuclear codes and all those things. But because it's a woman and she's a little, we're emotional.
no.
It's now looked upon. So even in this small town of 21,000+ people, this was a problem, much less out in these streets of these United States of America. My prayer, can I say that?
Yes, you can.
Is that on November 5th, we shut it all down. Finally, right, you will see a leader, someone that is educated, someone that has the professionalism, someone that has compassion and empathy to rule. Today in church, we talked about rulers and leaders. It's very often, it's not something that you see often that you can see a leader that's actually a ruler.
It's true.
It's usually one or another. I believe our next president of the United States of America will be both a leader first and then a ruler, right? I think women have been put into a box, have been put into their place for far too long. Give us the respect that we deserve. And if you can't respect me, respect my position. Because no one, Nuchette or I, didn't get to where we were just because we batted our eyelashes. We went out there, we knocked doors, we spoke to people, we made phone calls, we raised money, Lord knows we raised the money to get to where we were. And we're leading from a place of professionalism and empathy. And I think if we can just continue to lean into that, and the wise men that supports us, I do say the wise men that supports us, it helps along the way. So I do hope and pray that come November 5th, we will choose not a ruler, but a leader who knows how to rule well.
Very good. Thank you so
I'd just
much.
add in there, while we all may have our own party and personal preferences, overall, we are not officially endorsing either
No
candidate,
one.
No, we're not.
but
No one.
all beliefs are personal.
Yes.
Yes.
Shamar, you see, I'm not putting too much pressure on you.
Oh, no, I agree. I think it was very well put, Nathan.
Yes.
Very inclusive. Very inclusive.
For the record.
We always appreciate the inclusivity.
Yes.
Yes.
No problem. That's how we do.
Madam Mayor, before we move on, there are many women of color and people of color that are watching tonight or this evening, this afternoon. What would you say to that young black girl, maybe 10, 12, 13, that looking us or looking you here, and maybe she's being told your options are limited, or she's been told you can only go so far? One of my daughters, I don't remember which one, she was told by her teacher that she's not college material. Now here's the crazy part about that. I only found it out 4 or 5 years after. Had I known then,
I'm telling you.
we probably would not be. But okay, I digress. Yeah, what would you say to a young girl that's watching?
So here's the thing. I was very fortunate to be in a household with a father who told me I can do anything in the world. I was a premature baby. They used to pin me on a cushion, if you can believe that is true. So my father would always tell me that you kind of started behind, right? But never let that hold you back. Use every no as fuel. Use every you can't do it as fuel. Use everything that they tell you that is negative as fuel to reach your highest potential. If you can imagine it, if you can see it, you can be it. And I say it all the time. Veronica Airy Wilson was a councilwoman in Hartford, Connecticut. Veronica, different party, her and my mom, tight friends. And I saw Veronica advocate, not just for black people, not just for Republicans, not just for Democrats. She advocated. And I said, whoa, that right there is important. No, and she's just doing it, right? It's not to have her name called. It's not to say, oh, me and my. But I said, you know what? I believe that I was created to serve, period, point blank. I believe that I was created to leave any space that I enter better than I found it. So you telling me no, I ask you to tell me no.
That part.
Because once you say I can't do it, I'm going to prove to you that I can all day, every day, and 10 times on Sunday after church, right? So it's my faith that fuels me. It's the lack of confidence that you have in me that fuels me. So I don't mind people saying no to me. Let me just clarify that. I had to get to a place in life where I didn't mind people saying no to me and realizing that my purpose is greater than your opinion.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful.
And Bishop, if I
Yes,
could
go
tap
right
on
ahead.
there, I often tell the story that I started out in the world with a speech impediment. So I would go to the speech teacher at Clover Street School because I stuttered. I mean, stuttered and would say things funny. I always share that because do not allow your circumstance, how you began, to dictate what it is that you can do. When I was in the 6th grade, I entered an oratorical contest. It was actually on Martin Luther King. And at that moment, I realized, like, no, you've actually found your voice. And I'm not going to be a statistic. After that, my father passed away. Why am I saying this to whoever is watching, the young woman, the young black woman? You do not have to succumb to your circumstance or however it is that things have started or what. This week I posted on Facebook that I am not what they said I would be. I'm not. Because I should have been. My dad died early, right? And they were like, oh, you know, she's, well, here I go with my twang in. Oh, she, you know, she should be this or she's gonna have a child early. You do not have to succumb to your circumstances. So as Madam Mayor Deputy Commissioner said, every experience, every no, all of those things are actually stepping stones to push you, propel you into what your true purpose is. And so now I love words. I love to like memorize and speak and all of that. And you would not think that based on how my school years began. So you can do it.
Absolutely.
You can do it.
That reminds me of you know, this quote that I read many times in my elementary school classroom. On the wall it said, "Shoot for the moon. If you don't make it, at least you'll land amongst the stars."
Yes.
And you know, at the time when I was a kid, I looked at it, I was like, here's another corny classroom quote that's on the wall. And the rooms are plastered with them. You're just one of many. But as I grew older and you experience certain things, including the things that try to get in front of your dreams. I call them the dream killers. And that can come in many different shapes and forms. They come in the form of people. And tell you that you can't, as you have experienced. You know, that quote stuck with me because at the end of the day, you can do anything. I say that to all folks, especially, you know, Nathan and I had this experience of coming into the political scene very young. When I initially ran for office, I was told by a close family friend that nobody knows you. Just drop out, nobody knows you. And it was a bit discouraging because, you know, I've known this person forever. This person is still pretty close to my family. But, you know, here I am after winning 2 elections and then one with a larger margin than the last one. You know? And that's not to pat myself on the back, but it's that belief in yourself first, but also all the folks that are around you that believe. Because when you have, you could be in a dark room, right? 1 candle illuminates a bit, 2 candles a bit more, 3, 4, 5, 10. When you have all these folks that are believing in you, that belief compounds.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, you have the brightest room in the building.
All right.
So belief and reaching out to those folks that are in your tribe can definitely push you further. Stay away from the dream killers.
No, yeah, I agree with that completely. And just while you were speaking, it brought to my mind the song we sing in church, you know, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. When you get into that verse, and it says, through many dangers, toils, and snares. You have to go through it. You have to go through many dangers, many toils, and many snares. And I know we had clergy appreciation, and I put a poem together, and I mentioned that. But it's I know because of what I experienced through this walk. And though I may not be standing in leadership positions at church, I know some of the hardships and some of the pains that come with leadership, just even on the township level and what we have to go through. To say that you would stand up there and represent all these people and be willing to take all the brunt of everything, you know, it's going to come with a lot. But it's really important that we get together from time to time and have these conversations and just show people that there is worth to it. There is worth to the volunteerism. There is worth to just getting out there and living a life full of purpose and not just a life full of inward pleasure. You know, you have to turn out a little bit and just give to your community and let it be so.
The old folks would say that hard work pays off. Now we're working smarter. I'm not sure about the harder, you know, the smarter. Can I throw this question out to the panel? Start with Patrick first. What are you expecting most from the next administration?
I'd like to see a lot of things. I'm not exactly sure what I'm expecting, but I'm hoping for a lot of things. I'm hoping for hope, really. I think that hope is the main key. I would like to see someone that's going to lead the country in a unified way. Allow us to come together, allow people to talk to each other, allow people to be able to grow in our ability to discuss controversial things. Like, I'm going to disagree with you, but I'm going to do that in a respectful way. Or I'm going to agree with you, and we can both be on the same page. But if we're not even able to come to the table together, then we're just sitting around and not getting anything done. But I think we want to be able to have a leader and have people in positions of power that are able to facilitate that conversation and bring us together.
That's good. Madam Mayor?
And everything that Patrick just said, I think that's so important. I would say from the next administration, for me, 2 things: healthcare, education. I'm an educator, so I believe that when we think about the Department of Education on a federal level, there are some things that we need to kind of double click on, because it's happening at the federal level and it's going to trickle down to local boards of education and how we are funding schools, how we are teaching in our buildings. And I know folks are like, well, how long is that going to take to happen? You are correct. If they start the conversation in this administration, maybe in the one after that, we'll start to see the results on the ground, as I like to say. Healthcare, I'm concerned that as a 48-year-old woman, by the time I'm looking at retirement, I don't know if I'm going to have to continue working just to have medical insurance, just to be able to have a decent prescription if I need it for something. So I'm hoping that this administration will start to look at some of the policies that have been passed and how are we going to try to ensure that they are working to benefit both sides. Because we recognize that we aren't going to always agree on everything, but to your point, how can we come to the middle to ensure that we are doing what's best holistically for an entire nation? So those are my two.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I think I'm at a pretty healthy balance between, I agree with both of you guys. I'll just say. So first things first, I think our country is desperately in need of unity, and I feel like that was the general sum of Pat's statement. But even further than that, we need a leader who is going to be focused on the working person. You know, what you described is a working person's issue. They're donors on both sides, because I'm sure they both have either wealthy friends or extremely wealthy donors that they have to respond to after Election Day. So we just need someone who's really going to keep the working class person in mind, because we have serious struggles and issues that we are all going through. She just spoke of, and she is someone who many people would see as a very accomplished woman, you know, and that's a struggle that she is looking at in her future. Imagine the person who is living off of welfare, or imagine someone who has food stamps, or they're on WIC, you know. These are fixed incomes for our elderly people, you know. These are serious concerns that people have. We need an administration who is going to say, we're here to take care of our people.
Awesome.
And, right? 'Cause I agree with what everyone has said. I do really feel, though, the unity part of it. I think our country is so divided that the divisive rhetoric has just been so magnified that this person, whomever it is going to have that ability to kind of tone it down and dial it back and say, okay, we've separated now. We've come out of the closet. We've seen where we all are, but we are still these United States of America where everyone is important and we all have rights. I think that's going to be the main portion of this, right? Because we can see it on the federal level, and God knows we can see it on the local level. And that is some, anywho. So I think that's gonna be important. I see my grandmother, I see my mom, I see people who have worked for years, and Social Security isn't what we all thought it was gonna be. And for
Not secure at all.
that part, right? For our elderly, our most valuable people, and I say valuable because they've seen a lot, they've laid the foundation most times, and they're still here, and they can't make it. They can't buy medication and food. They can't find any place to live because everything that's going up, you can't afford, much less a senior, or make it worse, a senior that's taking care of grandkids, right? So I would like to see some importance placed on our most valued and our most vulnerable. Valued are children, going back to education, after school programs, manufacturing jobs, giving our young people options. No, everyone's not gonna go to college.
That's right.
But everyone should have the chance at the American dream, whatever that dream is for them. And then our seniors, they've worked, they've toiled, they've sown. We should be taking care of them, right? So I'm hoping that our next president will see the importance of bringing us together, but also taking care of, and Nuchette already said it, the working class people. We need to be able to live. It's not just working and living paycheck to paycheck or just working to pay bills, but working really to enjoy this American dream.
Shamar, before you answer, Nathan, could you take a moment again and just speak to our audience on the importance of their vote?
Yes, our vote is so very crucial. And again, as I mentioned earlier in the night, we do have some information for you all that is in the description of this video. And some of that information is where you can register to vote. So the first link is going to be a link to help you register to vote. If you are not registered to vote and you don't do anything or hear anything in this video, register to vote.
Do we still have time? Is it Do you still have time to register?
We still have time.
When's the cutoff time? Do you know? Anybody
You
knows?
can do same-day registration
Oh, really?
as well.
At town
Oh.
hall.
Yeah, at town hall.
Only at the town hall.
Okay.
Yes.
Town hall.
But we do not want you to do that. We don't need a bunch of people on the last second just rushing the town hall
Make
or
it clear.
city hall and trying to register their vote. So do it early.
But you can register right tomorrow and vote tomorrow
Yes.
at town hall.
At town
Yes.
hall.
Or at
Early
the
voting.
That's the
early
next thing I
voting.
was going to say. We have
Sorry.
14 days of early voting starting tomorrow, October 21st to the 31st, and then starting again November 1st to 3rd. So I think, what is it? There's no 32nd. So it's really, it's really October 21st to the 3rd of November. Sorry, the way my notes were, very confusing. No break. Straight through.
Reach out to your registrar of voters
Yes.
as well if you
Yes,
have any
yes.
questions.
If you are
Your town
unaware or
clerk.
you have any questions, you can call the town hall and I can speak with the registrar of voters, and they'll be able to help you as well. But we have a link with a list of all the towns and find your city or town and look for where you would be voting for early voting. And lastly, if you plan to vote on election day, which is Tuesday, November 5th, your polling location is different than if you are going to vote early. It's very confusing. I'm sorry. I know. If this has been confusing to you, wait till November 5th and vote, and just use the last link and find that location and make sure you're there on November 5th to vote. We have some new procedures and things that have made it easier, but especially for our elder population, I know it can make things a little bit more confusing. If any questions, reach out to me, and
Or your registrar, yes.
or your registrar, and I'll help you contact them.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. Okay, Mr. Mahon, back to you
All right,
again.
so
Same
back
question.
to our question. What are
Yes.
we hoping for the next,
The next
administration?
administration,
I'm going to add another and. That seems to be the consensus of our group here. But yeah, I'm going to add an and agree to the point of unity. We have seen over the last couple of decades, I'll call it hyper-partisanship. Folks are becoming way more partisan and, as an effect, becoming way more polarized
Yes.
and divided in both directions. Folks are moving more to the left, folks are moving more to the right, hollowing out the middle. It also reminds me of our middle class that is also being hollowed out, but I'll get there. What I'm hoping for is, yes, we can have a president that can put aside the candidate version of themselves, the campaign version of themselves, and actually get into the leadership portion of themselves. You have to be an effective administrator. You have to be someone that can build community. At the end of the day, you're going to lead everyone. You're not just going to be the leader of one side or the other. You're going to be a leader of everyone. So you have to be able to build that, have folks meet at the table of consensus, or at least compromise, conversation, another C word that fits. I love alliteration, just a point there. But the other thing is, yes, I like the other folks on the panel. I am worried about some things that are affecting our middle class, or such as affordable housing. As we have seen, the market has gone very crazy, and for young folks entering into the market, it's very difficult to enter into this market, especially with how wages have stagnated. When my parents were purchasing their first home, it was quite an accomplishment. It was quite difficult, but it's become way more difficult these days to make that initial step. So folks are getting stuck in a cycle where they can't participate in one of the largest or most utilized wealth builders in this country, which is owning real estate. The other thing that I'm worried about is our stagnated wages and inflation. The fact that folks can't keep up with the price of things that you need every single day. And luckily we have been able to get inflation a little bit under control, but it's still not where we need it to be for folks to live a life with dignity. The other item that was touched upon by the panel that I really agree with is just overall having an economy that works for the common folks, building up that middle class once again, and supporting small businesses. That wasn't mentioned, but small businesses are the largest employers in the country. We absolutely need them in order to have a vibrant and vibrant economy. They're vital to our economy. So hopefully we can have an administration that puts together some policies that can help our small businesses and our young entrepreneurs, because we have this next generation that's coming up, which I don't know the name. Is that Gen
I'm not sure.
Z?
No, I think it's, is it AI?
Huh?
It's Gen
It's
Gen
AI.
Alpha?
No. It's,
Alpha, I think.
It might
Is
be
it-
Alpha.
is
Gen
it
Alpha.
no?
Gen Alpha?
I think it is Gen Alpha.
Whatever
I
the,
can't
AI's
keep
taking
up.
over.
the next generation, and I feel like Nathan and I should know this. We're the
Right.
youngest folks on the
hold
panel.
on, let's
young
have that
kids.
conversation.
Because I know I'm not Gen Alpha. I'm good with it. I'm good with it, right? No.
But the generation that Nathan and I are in and younger, we have a lot of folks that are interested in being entrepreneurs, but and they have the spirit to be an entrepreneur, but they don't know how to make that first step. And they don't know how to maintain a business and all the regulations that you have to crisscross and jump over, and like the hurdles that you have to encounter and to traverse in order to maintain your business. So hopefully we can have an administration that pays attention to those things as well.
Shamar, a question. I listened to what you're saying, and I'm picturing myself as a young black man listening to, I don't want to say it's all doom and gloom, but listening to that, I could say, listen, there's no hope for me, or what's the point? Why do I need to vote? Hearing all of that, what would you say to someone like myself, a younger me, who's like listening, like, there's no hope. Why am I going to vote?
So I thank you very much for that question, Bishop. The reason why you should vote is because if those issues matter to you, your vote makes sure that the candidate that you're voting for puts that on their list of policies to target. To be frank, what we've seen in most large-scale elections like presidential races, senatorial races, House of Representatives, is that folks are mostly going to target their agenda towards the largest voting bloc, or the folks that may donate the most. Unfortunately, this is a reality in our country. But if you make sure that your vote gets out there, you're increasing that participation in your specific voting bloc, which puts you on their radar. They have no choice but to pay attention to you. It's almost like a scale of economy. And in the business world, that's the trouble. But it works as well with voting. If there's more folks that participate like you can make sure that your voice is heard. So not only do you have to make sure you vote, but you also have to reach out to your friends, to those that are like you, your family members in your same age bracket, to make sure that they have a seat at the table. Everyone can have a piece of the pie called democracy. There's more than enough to go around.
I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that.
Absolutely. Love him.
What do you do for a living again? Take my money. Just take it. Seriously, though, I would add on top of that, it's very good to get into the practice of voting. So before I was an elected official, before I even knew there was a possibility of me being able to do this, I always made it a habit to go out and vote. In Windsor, you know when it's time to vote because all the lawn signs start going up, or then they have the little signs at the polling locations that let you know voting is happening on this day. If I had no idea what was happening, I would see the signs, do a quick search on my town's website and see, okay, there's a town budget passing for this amount. Do I think this is an acceptable amount? Yes or no? It's just a good thing to do. We have to take ownership of our community back.
True.
Especially as black young men. As black men, we have gone a little bit absent on the scene here, and we really have to stand up in ourselves and our own authority given to us by God in reality to have dominion over this land. So we have to take back our authority, and it starts with even just casting your vote. In November, yes, I know it's coming, but there's many other opportunities there are to vote.
Yeah.
So do get involved and get your dominion back.
Ooh, get your
And
dominion back.
And so in that piece of getting involved, I think a national election is absolutely amazing. We want folks to use their voice. That is their vote. But I have to pause from your last comment to talk about the civic engagement that we are going to need to sustain whatever is going to happen on November 5th. So if you're living in your town, okay, you're like, well, I don't want to run for the town council. I don't want to run for the Board of Ed. That's okay. You can be a part of the youth commission. You can find out, you know, when your town planning and zoning board, they're looking for folks to sit on that particular committee or that commission. What am I saying? Get involved on the local level. It makes a difference. Sign up to be a part of a commission. If you go to your town's website, go to the town hall while you're having the conversation with the registrar to find out, you know, what your voting status is. But that level of civic engagement is what we need to really hold the line in our communities. And I think so often that's not shared with people, that you don't have to just run for the Board of Ed or the town council. You can actually sit on a committee or a commission in your town and still have great impact in ensuring what you would like to see happen in your community. So when you said that, I was like, ooh.
And if you don't like the public face, many of those, they're recorded meetings, but they're very not public at all. They're not like you have to run on an election.
Nope.
They're usually appointments, and there are a lot of vacancies.
And
A lot
here's
of
the thing,
vacancies.
if you're not at the table, your voice is not at the table. And what I've learned is most of these commissions, please excuse me, are filled with older
Talk about it.
older individuals. And being very honest, older white people. So here it is, you can commit to 1 hour or 1 meeting per month to give your voice to the Democratic Town Council or the Republican Town Committee, town committees, to have a voice, whether it's the Trails Committee, Parks and Rec, whatever it is, invest.
Yes.
Invest in your community. Because if you don't do it, the people that are making those decisions, it's gonna impact you anyway. So why not just invest in those decisions?
Madam
And
Mayor,
you become informed.
this is one of the questions, I'm gonna let you speak, that I was gonna follow with the mayor over here. So I hate to sound like the devil's advocate, especially being a pastor.
Never
However,
that.
Bishop, never that.
a single parent, a single mom, 3 kids, probably juggling 2 or 3 jobs. Her hands are tied. I mean, what do you say to a mother like that?
So hold a minute, please.
Go right ahead.
Most of these meetings should be
Online?
online.
Oh, okay.
Most of these meetings, while they're having the meetings, they should offer you a Zoom option.
Zoom, yeah.
COVID was horrific, but it taught us a
It
lot.
sure did.
Right? So most of these meetings should have a Zoom link. Here's the thing, go on your town's website. Every person that's on an elected board, every person that's on a commission, they have their names and they have their email addresses. Write emails, make phone calls. Don't let the fact that you have to take care of and prioritize your family negate your voice.
Absolutely.
Don't let it happen. I know that we are having some challenges with some of our meetings in the town that I live in.
Yes.
But we're making our voices heard. And that's just one of those reasons. Parents are trying to take care of their families. They're trying to make ends meet, even though the ends are pulling away every time they try. But they want to be involved. And as leaders, we should make it easy for them to be involved. So, hey, watch a meeting, send an email, make a phone call. And if all of that doesn't work, you go to the media and you shame them into doing the right thing. Yes, that's exactly what I said.
And because I was a mom, I tell folks
You
all the
are a
time.
mom.
No, well, correct, but I am a mom. I have 2 lovely boys. One's very, very handsome, and the other little
My
one,
godsons.
he's really cute.
Yep.
But Bishop, to your point, I was a mom at the time. My oldest son, he was not kindergarten age yet. But I was like, I can't sit back and watch this go down in my town. So me and my stroller, we would roll out to the meeting.
Wow.
And then here came the second one. And again, me and my stroller, that's how I ended up on Windsor's Board of Education, because I was a agitated, I'm not really a loudmouth pastor, not me. I was an agitated but very concerned, a bit loud at the moment, because I needed our Board of Education to hear what was happening. And so I would say to any parent, you can get involved. Bring the kids with you. Some of the meetings we were like, you need to set up childcare because parents want to be there so they can be a part. So I love that, and that's why I wanted to pause to say it, Nathan, is that is civic engagement. That is where we hold the line, and we hold all of us, Patrick, Shamar, Suzette, Nathan, accountable to respond to the needs. Yeah. That's how you go about doing that. Yep.
Yeah.
I like that.
As elected officials, we crave participation.
Yes.
You don't know how many times, most of us, the ones that are truly out there to represent your voice care about participation.
Yes.
Whether good or bad, whether you agree with me or not, I want to hear what you have to say. And that's the only way that we can make truly informed decisions, I believe, is by hearing what everyone has to say. So there are many different ways in which folks can participate that were pointed out. Zoom is an option. Going there with your stroller, bring the stroller. That is also an option, making sure you're in person. But what Suzette mentioned also phone calls, emails.
Right.
Trust me, we letters, we pay attention to these things. They come to us, and at least I take it into account when I'm making a decision. How do the residents feel? How does my constituency feel? One thing, I'm going to segue a little bit away, but I want folks also, when you have the time, to look into the candidates that you're voting for, look into the issues that they represent. As was mentioned previously in our conversation, see if their policies align with what you believe. I'm a person that believes in people over politics. I will always support a person that aligns with me more than I would support a party. I don't vote based on party lines. And I make that very clear. So having this conversation, there's no trouble that I get into, because with me, folks know what they're getting.
Yes.
But I very much believe in people over politics. There's not going to be. There may be someone that aligns with your party, but you listen to that person, they don't align with what you believe in. There may be the person on the other side. So just do your research. If you can, take 5 minutes. There are a lot of resources out there. Even if you do a quick Google with the candidates that or you look up what candidates are in your race, and you look up, whatever the name, we'll use the general election. What does Harris versus Trump, and they're down the key issues, where they sit on those key issues. There are many websites that summarize those for you, and you can brush up on these candidates within 5 minutes. So the resources are out there. Utilize them.
So basically, put the time in. Speaking about time, we are running out of time. We are running out of time. Patrick,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you all for closing remarks. And again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. Thank you again. We just want to have this conversation. And again, you need to exercise your right to vote. That's why we're here. Patrick, closing remarks.
I'd just like to say thank you guys for being here. Thank you for having me. And please just get out and vote. Make sure your voice is heard.
Awesome.
Thank you, Bishop Wolliston, Nathan, Living Word Empowerment Ministries. The only thing I would say is make a plan. We need to have a plan for November 5th, and more so on November 6th. Sign up for that committee or that commission in your town. Your voice is your vote. So ensure that you have a plan. We have, 15 days to go? So call your neighbors, call whoever it is that you need to, check your license, get your IDs in order. Make a plan for November 5th. Early voting opens tomorrow, and we'll see you at the polls.
Madam Mayor.
This was really good. I thank you, in my opinion, for being such a trailblazer in opening up your sanctuary to have this conversation and to invite people in to get the information that they need. I'm a firm believer in giving all the information necessary. Thank you, Nathan. And I also want to say thank you for the amazing son that you have raised.
Thank you.
Nathan ran a race this year, and you didn't come out a victor, but you weren't a loser. And I believe that you're going to do great things for the community, and your voice is needed. And I'd say the same thing to Shamar. When he says that he puts people over policy and politics, he's right. A young Republican in the town of Bloomfield that wanted to serve his people and was able to cross party lines to do some great things. Here we are on the precipice of a major event in our country. I'm asking everyone to please, please invest. Because whether you stay home or you go to the poll, you are casting a vote.
Yeah.
What I'm asking you to do is to cast a vote based on your character, based on your vision for what you want your country to be, based on what you want to leave for your children. We are standing on the precipice of history, and I'm hoping that we come down on the right side. Make a plan. On November 5th, cast your vote based on your character so that on November 6th, we're not living a nightmare.
And in closing, I know this is the final countdown, and a couple of ways for this program, and with our election coming up, I want to just echo some of the sentiments that was expressed by the panel to make sure that that you get out there. Your voice is your vote. Suzette mentioned a great thing of make that investment. Your vote is your investment in the future. And your vote ensures whether your investment is going to pay dividends or not. This community that we have, I feel like country makes it so big. If folks can just think about it as our community, because we are all just pieces of a larger puzzle. This community requires your participation. This community requires your voice. So please, make sure you get out there. If you can take a couple minutes to do a bit of research or reach out to the folks that are around you, encourage them to have a seat at the table. This is how we make sure that we can invest in our future.
Awesome. Nathan, final remarks?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who tuned in online and our amazing panel here. Pat, I know you're running a hard race, and you took time out to be with us, so I really appreciate it. The rest of us, we're kind of, cruising. We don't have elections until next year, but thank you for coming out to
We're
be
all on a re-election campaign right now.
It never does stop.
It never
Never
does.
stop.
I tried to get it off. It never stops. But just thank you all for taking the time and seeing this as important and being with us today.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you all so very much. And again, thank you for joining us. God bless you. Enjoy the rest of the evening. God bless you.
Thank you.
Go vote.
Go vote. Yeah.
Use your voice. Use your vote.
Yeah.